Two of the most controversial figures in the history of love and hip-hop, Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris, were recently banned from reality TV. This comes after years of drama, betrayals, and moments that made headlines. Their time in the spotlight has come to an abrupt and shocking end, but why? Well, what really happened behind the scenes? Sources claim that the events that prompted producers to take this extreme measure began with a violent altercation backstage that was so intense and chaotic that security was unable to control the situation. Before anyone knew it, cameras were rolling, tempers were flaring, and fists were flying. Now, after years of being reality TV royalty, Kirk and Mendeecees are reportedly done for good. No more cameras, no more confessionals, just a cold, hard reality that they never saw coming. But wait, there's more to this story than what's being reported. Was this really just one fight, or was something much larger brewing behind the scenes, involving betrayals, secret alliances, and shocking revelations? This scandal is deeper than anyone could have ever imagined, but stay tuned because we're going to break it all down. No one saw it coming like this. The tension between Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris had been simmering beneath the surface for weeks, but no one anticipated that it would explode into chaos. What began as harmless teasing turned into a career-ending altercation that would rock the entire love and hip-hop franchise to its foundation. It all happened at a private closed-door following show taping, where cast members were supposed to vent their differences prior to the official reunion episode. There were no cameras, no pressure, just a... The plan was to clear the air. But when you put egos, grudges, and drama-hungry reality TV stars in the same room, it's only a matter of time until something explosive happens. And that night it did. Kirk and Mendeecees had never been close, but they respected each other until recently, when rumors began to circulate that Mendeecees had been calling Reckless a washed-up has-been behind Kirk's back, only remained relevant because of Rashid's hustle. At first, Kirk dismissed it because, after all, love and hip-hop was drama-driven, and loose lips were nothing new. However, when several people came forward to claim that Mendeecees had escalated the situation, Kirk was unable to ignore it any longer. The whispers became serious allegations, with Mendeecees allegedly telling producers that Kirk was desperate to start a phony beef in order to staying on the show. Becky was a liability, adding nothing new to the franchise except old scandals and tired drama for Kirk, who had the audacity to say, "I'm the one holding the show back." Kirk reportedly vented to cast members prior to the fight, saying, "This man barely got out of prison, and now he thinks he's running things." It wasn't just ego, it was about respect, and Kirk wasn't about letting someone like me disrespect his legacy. According to insiders, Kirk pulled Mendeecees aside prior to the reunion taping in an attempt to get to the bottom of things man-to-man, but Mendeecees weren't backing down. If you're worried about what I'm saying, perhaps you should fix what's broken. Mendeecees allegedly told Kirk in an arrogant tone, and Kirk's face twisted and his jaw clenched. That was all it took for what began as a heated exchange to escalate into a full-fledged screening match with cast members. Producers are in utter shock that you were a guest on this show. "I made this before you even arrived." Kirk shoved M hard, sending him tumbling back into a chair. Then, before security could react, Kirk snarled and pointed a finger at Mendeecees' men, and lunged forward, grabbing Kirk's shirt, and in a matter of seconds, his fists were. Security hurried in to try to separate the two men, but they were both in a rage. Yandy Smith, Mendeecees' wife, was screaming at him to stop, and Rashida was frantically attempting to pull Kirk away, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. The worst part was that it was all captured on camera. There were flying chairs, broken glasses, shattered cast members, and screams. By the time Kirk and threw hands, the video was going viral. Within minutes, clips began to appear on social media, shocking fans with their comments and sending the love and hip-hop production team into a panic. This isn't your typical reality TV drama. as one producer reportedly stated that the fight was so vicious and intense that it was time to stop filming. Kirk was dragged into a room right away, still furious, and his face was twisted with rage. Behind the scenes, the executives were already making a decision that no one had anticipated because, although fights were common on reality TV, what had just happened was too significant, too raw, too destructive, and before the night was even over, an emergency meeting had been called. The verdict: Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris were going to receive the harshest punishment of their careers, and this time there was no turning back. The fallout from the fight was severe and swift, occurring within hours. The Love and Hip Hop production team was facing a crisis, and it was more than just shattered chairs and shattered eaves. The network executives were furious. Since reality TV thrives on drama, some pushing and shoving was to be expected, but this was different. Two longtime cast members were throwing up in a way that could have caused serious injuries, and to make matters worse, the video had already been leaked, and fans had already analyzed every second of it, replaying the scene where Kirk shoved Ems, how Ems lunged at him, and the background noise of glass breaking. Social media was in a frenzy, and I never imagined that Kirk and Mendeecees would get into a full-on fight. This fight was so intense that Mendeecees just snapped. If Kirk and Mendeecees are fired for this, I'm done watching. Fans were split. Some supported Kirk, claiming that Mendeecees had no right to be disparaging a Love and Hip Hop original, while others were Team Mendeecees, arguing that, although it was widely acknowledged that Kirk had no right to touch someone first, this was one of the biggest scandals in the franchise's history, and the executives were concerned about more than just the public's reaction. They were also concerned about their reputation because the fight had gone beyond what they could make into good television. Additionally, there were legal issues, and sponsors were growing anxious if they allowed Kirk and MC to remain. Send the incorrect message, the decision was made, and the following morning, Kirk and Mendeecees received the call that they were officially fired from Love and Hip Hop. There was no warning, no second chances, just gone. Kirk was shocked, and he reportedly told Rashida, pacing back and forth in their Atlanta home, "They really need me. I've been here since the beginning." But Rashida knew better. Kirk wasn't trying to hear it, and his mind was that he wasn't just another cast member. He was Love and Hip Hop royalty. He had been on the show for more than 10 years, built his brand, made money moves, and now they were throwing him aside like he was nothing but money. He had seen this coming. "Kirk, you quit your hands on Ems," she told him, and it got out. After all, they had no choice. When Yandy said, "They're just going to throw you out after everything after we brought Sto or UIINs to this show," his entire body tensed. "No, that's not happening," he said, shaking his head. "I bring too much to this show. They need me," but Yandy wasn't about to let this slide. Mendeecees' relationship, legal issues, and family struggles had been the subject of several seasons of prime reality TV gold, but none of that mattered. Now, Yandy muttered as she rubbed her temples, "Look, we're done." The phone calls continued to come in. Blogs picked up the story. Other cast members expressed their opinions, and soon, the fight wasn't the only rumor. Began to spread when Kirk Frost and MC Harris Blake T from All Reality TV Insiders said that several networks were now reluctant to collaborate with them because some executives believed they were too much of a liability, and that, given how rapidly things had gotten out of hand, no one wanted to take that chance. One producer even told the source that we couldn't have another situation like this if Kirk and Mendeecees couldn't keep it professional. How can we trust them on? Another show's sponsorship deals were put on hold, and potential spin-offs were scrapped. Their entire reality TV careers were now in ruins, but Kirk and the men weren't going down without a fight. MC called his legal team to ask if he could challenge the decision and sue for wrongful termination, or at the very least, what kind of compensation Kirk would receive. Thinking bigger, if they think I'm just going to vanish, they've got another thing coming. Kirk allegedly told a friend, "I built my name. I don't need Love and Hip Hop. I'll make my own moves." And suddenly the conflict wasn't just between them anymore. It was between them and the entire Love and Hip Hop empire. The men were not only reality TV stars, but also staples of the genre, deeply ingrained in the fabric of love and hip-hop. The show had made them household names, and now they were being forced out. But neither Kirk nor the Mendeecees were prepared to quietly relinquish their fame. They weren't about to be forgotten in the annals of reality TV history. Instead of avoiding the spotlight, Kirk made sure the public knew his side of the story. Within days of this firing, he sat down for an exclusive interview with the major blog, explaining the incident from his perspective. Kirk went straight to work because he understood the power of public perception and knew that he had to control the narrative if he was going to save his career. "I was defending my honor, especially on my own turf. What happened between me and the MCs was regrettable, but at the end of the day, I was defending my honor. I've been with hip-hop and love since day one, and I've worked hard for them to just cut me off like that. It's foul," and Kirk wasn't just upset about the fight. He felt betrayed by the very show he had helped create, one that had highlighted his family's highs and lows. In the meantime, Mendeecees was dealing with his own whirlwind. His firing from love and hip-hop had hit him hard, but he wasn't about to lie down and take it like Kirk Mendeecees knew that. His business endeavors, drama, and one bad moment seemed to erase everything, but Kirk wasn't going to let that be the end of the story. "Trust me, I've got plenty of other doors I can open." Managing the narrative was crucial, so he also contacted the media, but his strategy was different. Instead of concentrating on the fight, VC used his platform to discuss his journey, which started with an emotional Instagram live session. "From my legal battles to my time away from my family, I've always faced challenges head-on, so this is just another obstacle, but I'll tell you this, I don't regret standing up for. I've always been about respect, and I won't allow anyone to treat me disrespectfully, whether on or off camera." Of course, Yandy was by his side, her face a mask of control, and she was furious and upset. But she also understood how the game worked because she had been on reality TV long enough to know that sometimes you have to take the hits and come back stronger. "Trust me, you haven't seen the last of me," she told their followers during the live session. "We always win, but behind closed doors, VC wasn't sure that being cut off from love and hip-hop was more than just a professional setback. It was personal. He had dedicated years of his life to the show, exposing his soul on camera, and now with one mistake, it felt like all of that was being taken away. "I don't know if we're going to recover from this," he told Yandy one evening. When the situation finally hit him, he realized that this was our bread and butter. Without love and hip-hop, what's left? Rather than wallowing in self-pity, Yandy was already planning their next move and assured him that they had their own brand and that the fans loved them, not just the show. They would figure it out. However, the real blow came when they learned that not only had Kirk and M been fired, but they were being completely barred from reality TV. It began with whispers, and there were rumors going around in the entertainment industry that no other reality show wanted to work with them. At first, it seemed like just another rumor, but as the days passed, sources from multiple networks confirmed that Kirk and Mendeecees were now deemed too dangerous to cast. It's not just about the fight, insider. Assert that reality TV is all about drama, but this went too far, and nobody wants to deal with the legal fallout or the prospect of losing control once more. For Kirk, the news was devastating. Losing his job at Love and Hip Hop was bad enough, but being blacklisted was a death sentence for his career. Without reality TV, Kirk's brand would become less visible, which would reduce his influence and revenue. "Ain't about to be no has-been," Kirk told Rashida one night, his frustration in his voice. "They think they can just blackball me. Nah, I've built too much to let it all crumble." The calm Kirk Storm tried to reassure him, "We'll figure something out, babe. You've got too much hustle in you to let this be the end." But Kirk wasn't convinced because he knew the situation would be a disaster without TV. He faced an uphill battle, but his name and face were what kept his ventures afloat. Without that exposure, everything could collapse on the other side of the country. Many people were feeling the pressure too, and his phone had gone eerily silent. Opportunities that had previously poured in were now drying up. Brands weren't contacting him, and his social media engagement was declining. It seemed as though the battle had. The strategist, Yandy Ever, had a plan and said confidently, "If they don't want us on their shows, we'll make our own show. We don't need them. We've got the fan base. We've got the following. Let's do this." Traer, an industry-wide freeze-out, told Yandy, "We need to do something fast, men," BC's told us. "I'm not about to be blacklisted. This isn't how my story ends," he said, his frustration evident in his voice. Despite their audacious statements, Kirk and Mendeecees were aware that they were up against a formidable opponent. Being blacklisted in the reality TV industry meant more than just not getting cast on shows. It meant being excluded from an entire industry. As the days stretched into weeks, the situation's gravity only increased because they had centered their lives on the success and fame of reality TV. The silence was deafening. Kirk Frost and Mendeecees Harris, two of the biggest names in love and hip-hop, were now facing the harsh reality of being blacklisted by the industry that once thrived on their drama, conflicts, and storylines. They were facing the very real possibility that everything could fall apart. Would they really recover, or had their fight marked the end of their reality TV life? Turned its back on them. There were no longer producers requesting confessional interviews, cameras watching them everywhere, or large checks from reality TV. At first, neither man believed it. They had experienced highs and lows before, including public scandals, cheating accusations, and business failures, but they had always recovered. However, this time, something felt different for Kirk, and he realized it when he started contacting other reality shows in the hopes of getting a spot on another franchise. He had contacts in the industry and had worked with people for years, so he thought someone would give him a chance. But every call ended the same way. "Man, I wish I could help you," a producer said in a regretful voice, "but the network doesn't want that kind of heat right now. The fight was too much. Nobody wants the backlash. It wasn't just." The argument was no longer about the altercation. Rather, it was about Kirk's reputation. He was no longer merely viewed as a reality star who had been involved in an incident. Instead, he was now deemed too dangerous, unstable, and worst of all, detrimental to business. Rashida noticed the change in him right away. Her husband, who had made a career out of reality TV, now spent his days pacing the house with his phone glued to his hand, anticipating a call that never arrived. "Can make this work, sweetie." Rashida tried to reassure him one night. "You have the clothing stores and Frost Bistro," and Kirk cut her off is shaking his head. "But that's not the point, Rashida. This is what I do. This is who I am. If they shut me out, how do I stay relevant? How do we keep the brand alive?" Rashida had no response, and MY was busy planning how to turn their situation around, while Yandy was busy trying to turn their personal brand into something larger. Mendeecees found himself in an unfamiliar place, uncertain. He had built his life on hustle, making moves, and staying ahead, but now it felt like every door was being slammed shut before he could even knock. Yandy wasn't one to sit around waiting for opportunities to come to them. If the industry didn't want them, they would create their own platform. He wanted to believe her, but he wasn't persuaded. She began contacting streaming services, independent production companies, and social media platforms. She said, "We don't need VH1. We can take this to YouTube, Z Network, 2B, or wherever we want. We own our brand, we don't need their cameras, and we can hire our own ends." In the meantime, the fallout from the blacklist was raging, and fans were furious on social media as arguments broke out over whether Kirk and Mendeecees should be banned or if they were being unfairly punished for creating love and hip-hop. One fan tweeted, "Confidence never was Ed. They'll care because we make them care. We just have to give them something they can't ignore." A user commented, "This isn't some regular drama. They fought on set. What did they expect?" The backlash wasn't limited to online. Former cast members, reality TV veterans, and even producers were winning in Stevie J's Another Love and hip-hop alone made it clear where he stood. "I've been in this game for years, and let me tell you, folks." A foreign cast member stated in a podcast interview that this is what attracts viewers, but the second it gets too real, we're too much. That's some bullshit. Despite the public outcry, the network's decision remained firm, and Kirk and I were removed. There were no second chances, so Kirk decided he was not leaving the entertainment industry without a fight, a legal battle. He had worked there long enough to know his rights if the network wanted to blacklist him, but they owed him this. Kirk told his lawyer, "This is about my legacy," saying, "They used me for years, made money off my name, and now they just want to erase me. No, they owed me damages." The legal battle wasn't just about Kirk's contract. Was conflicted. He wasn't the type to sue because he had already been through the legal system and didn't want to go through it again. But he also understood that Kirk had a point. They had given everything to the show, and now they were being left with nothing as the lawsuit became public. Mendeecees wanted compensation for the years he had dedicated to the franchise, for the reputation he had built, only to be thrown out like trash. The industry erupted, saying that if CK prevails, it could set a new standard for reality TV stars. It's about power and control. These networks own their talent, but Kirk is retaliating. However, the lawsuit had repercussions. Not only were Kirk and Mendeecees blacklisted, but no network or brand wanted to be associated with them during the legal proceedings. Yandy, on the other hand, saw the bigger picture and realized that Mendeecees didn't want to get involved in lawsuits and legal drama. So she made a bold move by making a reality TV comeback on their own terms. Maybe we should just let it go, focus on our businesses, and move on, even though Rashida tried to talk Kirk down. Before long, the plan was underway for a new show that would be independent, uncensored, and raw. Kirk and Mendeecees may have been banned from hip-hop and love, but that didn't mean they were done. The question now was whether the fans would follow them, or if this was really the end of the road. The drama isn't over yet, and you already know that this story is far from finished. May have been banned, but will they truly remain out of the spotlight? Will Kirk's lawsuit open the reality TV industry? Will Yama's audacious move allow them to return to the spotlight on their own terms? Fans are split, the industry is watching, but one thing is certain, this scandal is only beginning. Do you think Kirk and Mendeecees should be given another chance? Did they go too far? Will there? If you want to keep up with all the shocking twists, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. This story is developing quickly, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Does their independent comeback actually succeed, or is this the end of their reality TV careers? Let us know in the comments section below. Wish to avoid seeing what occurs next.